all about the entrance more than how you exit out of it, right? First impression is absolutely everything. And today is an awesome episode. It's landing on the last day of 2024. And the one thing we think about is how well are we going to do going into 2025, the new year. A lot of times we hear new year, new me, better than me than you, however you want to say it. And man, I really got to sit and really appreciate everybody that has been on this journey. Everybody that listened, everybody that went up to me and said hi and appreciate all the things that I'm doing. You know, it's one of those things I always say, I just don't know how to explain it. I think it's just to be felt. And it's one of those things where I also say it's bigger than me. And you know, I wrote a couple things down of like all the accomplishments, because if we can't appreciate the things that we did within the year, then how are we gonna appreciate the next year, right? We go into a new year and we start thinking about, oh, let me forget everything that happened last year, this year, and let me just focus on what's going on in front of me. Yes, absolutely. But you gotta also be mindful on where were you at certain times that led you to where you are today, that led you to wanting to think about what is next, right? We always think about next, but we don't think about what were the steps that were behind us that led us to where we're at right now. So before we go into anything, I want to just mention a couple accomplishments that I had accomplished this year. And, you know, the first thing was definitely creating a communication card game, right? If you guys have not got your communication card game, enough said. We're on pre-order right now, and gonna put a little sale. And as I'm thinking right now, I'll probably put that down in the description. There's gonna be a sale, but Christmas is right around the corner, and we're going into the new year. We got 300 coming its way. 300 batch, a batch of 300. Like, that sounds absolutely phenomenal. I'm so ecstatic that you guys have been buying the game. And honestly, we did this together, right? I am sold out of the first batch because of you guys wanting to play the game, of you guys wanting to play with your friends, your family, your significant other, your kids, if you got kids, whatever it is. But the actment of wanting to connect with one another, it's most wholesome thing ever, and hasn't even been a year yet of having the card game, and we're just taking one step after another, and we're just leveling up, right? It's on up from here, 2025. You know, can I get an amen to that? Right? If you say it out loud, you put it in the description, wherever you want to affirm. But like 2025 is all about accomplishments. 2025 is all about just keep leveling up, right? I had the opportunity this past year, 2024, just being able to have collaborations, networking, right? It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I've met so many awesome people, and people that came on the podcast, or people that I just network with in these certain areas. I'm just so honored to be able to meet with these people, to really establish some ground, right? So that we can just keep leveling up. It's just like nature, right? You plant a flower, you plant the seed, and then it grows into a beautiful plant flower. It's just, that's literally how it feels. Right? I've had the opportunity to do some presentations such as Westfield State, Holyoke High, Impact Center. I hosted an MC for a Mindset Mayhem, which was towards more the middle of the year, for Michael Conley. Shout out to Michael Conley. I've learned a lot from him. Mac Knight, Mac member. I just want to just appreciate on the things that I've learned, the people that I've met. And there's so many people, there's so many things. I might not be able to mention absolutely everything here. And I'm just so honored for this, right? Going into 2025, you know, this is just the beginning. And everybody that is listening, whether you're, you know, watching it on YouTube too, or if you're cleaning, if you're driving, whatever it is that you're doing, you're listening to this right now because you're gonna see the growth, right? And it's been growing exponentially, you know, little by little. Every day is 1%. And, you know, I had the opportunity too, after I think it was just before summer, I went to the meditation retreat, as I've mentioned, maybe like briefly, but that meditation retreat was a big part of my year because I had 10 days where I was just sitting there and doing absolutely nothing. I had no book, no phone, nothing. All I had was myself. I couldn't even look at the people there. And by the way, they definitely fed me well. So shout outs to Vimpasta Center over at Shelburne Falls, which is not too far from Holyoke, which is not also too far from Amherst. And I've learned a lot about myself there. And learning a lot about myself, about where I'm at in life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and just giving myself that space to unplug, to really think, and just reflect. Because if we can't do that, then we can't go on to the next step. So, being able to do that and then coming out of that, just reconnecting with the people that love me, respect me, and accept me, right? Those are the people that I want to be around. And this kind of intention, this kind of mindset is what is going to lead me to be successful, what is making me successful, right? I had the last episode and we were talking about success, the definition of success. What is success? And I say it, as I said it, it was something that you have within yourself. It's not something that you have or you got. And, I had times where I also was a speaker at a networking night over at UMass, which I graduated this year with my bachelor's degree in psychology, technically double major, psychology and building construction. That's a long story. That's a whole probably another episode to get into. But, being able to also win top 3 at the executive pitching for UMass as well. And being able to be getting grants from E4all, from LEDC, and just being able to do other things like my personal endeavors, right? I learned to do Taekwondo. Taekwondo, I've been in it for about 2 years now, but consistently being there to work on the things that I want within myself. Like flexibility was a big thing for me. And I think even prior to that, going into the E4All program, I learned a lot from there as well. The Acceler program is something I recommend to any small business owner. But they didn't, and then before that was a pitch contest. And that pitch contest was something I've never done before, but I was like, I had nothing to lose, right? So I put myself in that position to pitch the idea of the business, the idea of the card game, and I won first place. And those moments is something I want to mention to you guys, not because I'm trying to boast myself, but just to let you know that I appreciate these small wins, right? To let you know that it's a possibility of you doing as well, depending on whatever it is that you want as an outcome, right? But you have to first, sit back and think and be like, what do I want in life? And look at role models, right? And when you look at these role models, you look at them and you be like, I want to be like that. But when you look at that person, you got to be more mindful and think about, what is it going to take for me to be that, rather than just wanting to be that. Sometimes we don't realize on how much it takes to be successful, how much it takes to be this kind of person. And it takes a lot of visualization work. It takes a lot of reflection. It takes a lot of, damn, I didn't mean to do this, or I should have did this, right? It takes those moments to just sit back and be like, I could have done better, but not being so, just so focused on the fact that you did something wrong, or just so focused that you're doing something right. You gotta delegate. And that's the hardest part, right? Like thinking about delegating and thinking about the balance of things and the wrongs and the rights. But that's how you get better as a person, right? I think when it comes to setting an intention, you have to think about what you pay attention to, right? And as I'm looking right here, it's kind of something that I've mentioned before. You got to think about you. Who are you? And what do you want to accomplish? And why do you want to accomplish it? Right? There's an emotional piece to everything that leads you to being in that place or being in this area in life. And it's a forever thing. It's not one of those things where you're going to get there and once you get there, it's done. No, if anything, you want to be done. Don't you want to be able to achieve one thing and then be able to achieve another thing? Because the glory in achievements is not the achievement itself, but it's the process of it. It's the journey of leading yourself there, right? And that's sometimes hard to do in the moment, right? Like you're so fixated on the outcome and getting it so fast because everybody has a biological clock. Everybody has a financial clock. Everybody has a time where they feel like they need to get it so they feel like they're enough. But I just want to let you know, wherever you're at, you're exactly enough. You're more than enough to be wherever it is that you want to be, wherever it is that you want to be as a person, right? I think when we can just appreciate our surroundings and who we are as a person, that is the foundation so that we could be successful, right? We can't be successful and always bring ourselves down and, oh, I'm not doing this good enough or I'm not doing this. And we're just being negative and pessimistic about where things are going. Oh, this was good, but it could have been better. No, just, yes, it can always be better. There will always be better. But you just gotta appreciate on the small ones. You just gotta appreciate the things that you did and the fact that you did it, the fact that you showed up. You know, the fact that you thought about it. That's a start, right? And then just go do it. You got nothing to lose, right? And I want to put in here too, right? When you're thinking about that and you're telling yourself about how you feel, you want to also think about what you do with that, right? Sometimes we go off what we feel, and the actions that we give ourselves is something that could be detrimental back, and then we go back into the whole cycle again and thinking about why do we feel this way, right? And one of the things I want to put in here is definitely maintaining a healthy diet and an exercise, because your body is connected with your mind, right? Whatever you do with your body energetically, right? Energy, right? As I always said in in these episodes, I'm always gonna probably pitch in a little bit about energy because energy is everything, right? And I'm talking about not only what you eat, what you exercise, you know, the people that you're with, like the contact that you have with people is also an indicator on how you will feel, right? So many times that we get involved with someone, and I don't know about you guys, but there could be times when you hang out with someone or you're with someone, and after hanging out with them, you have this certain feeling that makes you feel drained, or this feeling that makes you feel groggy, like, I don't feel good, because people are energy, right? Whatever you invest in also invests in you. So you got to be mindful on how you treat your body, because how you treat your body is also going to be how your mind thinks afterwards. So be mindful on how you exercise and how you eat, the people that you're with, the people that you make contact with. Like even shaking a hand does a lot, giving a hug does a lot, and further than that does a lot. So pay attention to your body. And one of the things that I've done was the meditation part, right? I just meditated 30 minutes just before recording this. And meditation is not one of those things where you have to do a certain thing or you have to say certain mantras. There's thousands of ways of doing meditation. You gotta first start with just observing your body, right? You could do it from the bottom of your feet all the way to the top of your head, from the top of your head all the way down to your body, and just observe. And one of the things I learned in the meditation retreat is equanimity. And equanimity, the definition of that is the observation of sensations with the understanding of impermanence, right? When you observe these sensations and you understand that they come and go, just like life. Things come and go, experiences come and go, people come and go, seasons come and go, right? I'm hungry, right? That comes and go. A feeling comes and go. Everything comes and goes. And sometimes we don't put too much attention to that, but what happens is that everything that is around us is connected. Everything is coinciding on the way that we live. And I realized a lot of that through meditation, through just observing, right? I don't know about you, but I'll be people watching, right? You can bird watch and just observe and see how things are moving, right? And that's a whole nother topic that I could get into too, because then I start thinking about body language and you know all these other things is something that you want to be mindful as well, because that is also on seeing the kind of person that's in front of you and allowing them in or not, right? As I've mentioned, you got to be mindful on the people you have in contact with. So the next, that was prepping the intention, right? You got to be mindful of yourself. You got to look at your body. That's prepping the intention, right? Then when you want to put the intention onto something, a lot of times we think about whatever it is. We think about it and we be like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, or this feels good. But what happens is that when you think about something, you can never see a thought, right? You can never see a feeling. You can just feel it or you can think it and it's just, you imagine it. But to set more of that intention, just put it on paper, right? You can't really go wrong with putting your words on paper, because once you put it on paper, it's physical. And you're like, oh, I can see my thought, right? And I want to share that studies show that expressive writing will reduce your blood pressure by 30%, right? So it's to say that, if it's a bad thing or if it's a good thing, write it down. If it's an idea, write it down, right? It's so that you can retain that information that you was thinking. Technically, we as people can remember a lot more when we actually write it, like with a pencil, not typing it, right? Not drawing it or anything like that. Just use an actual pen and paper will create more of a retention to remember whatever it is that you were thinking or whatever it is you're feeling. And matter of fact, after writing it down, you can look back at it and be like, wow, I remember I was at this point in my life. Or, oh yeah, wow, that was a good idea. Wow, I said that. There's so many times I write something and I'd be like, wow, I'm so smart. And it's funny, right? Because in a moment, you have this certain feeling or this certain idea and you don't realize until afterwards. So write down everything on paper. Going into 2025, I'm all about writing things down because I don't want to forget. Or even if I do forget, there's gonna be a chance that I run by it and I read this and I'm like, oh wow, I haven't thought about this in a while. So write it down on paper. Now, I'm gonna give you a couple prompts. I got 4 prompts for you that you can write down, and you could do it right as we're speaking. You see what I did there? Right now, right? Okay. So here's number 1, right? I want you to write down a prompt on your journal. It could be a piece of paper, it could be a sticky note, it don't matter. Just write it down. If you're driving, do it afterwards. But what are you thankful for? Right? When you could be thankful and think about that, it's critically thinking about what you can appreciate. And what you appreciate appreciates. Number 2 is when you get good news, who do you go to? And why this is important is because when you get good news and you think about this person, that person you want to keep in your circle. And of course, be mindful of other things, right? Because we could just go to anybody. But if it's like your best friend and you know that you could tell them good news and they don't bog you down and be like, oh, that's nothing, but they can appreciate your good news and willing to hear your good news, then that's a person you want to keep in your circle going to 2025, right? We go into 2025, we always think about who we're going to cut off, who we're going to leave behind. So you got to think about it, right? Who is that person that you can go to for good news or just in general, right? Third question, or third prompt, is what does your ideal self look like? Right? Whoever it is that you want to be, you want to visualize that person that you want to be like you're already that person, right? I can visualize that, I'm going to have X amount of people tuning into the podcast, sold X amount of enough said, right? Creating events, workshops. The sky is not our limit. It's our point of view, okay? And the last one I want to put in here is who is a role model for you, right? Role models is not just someone that is just in close proximity with you, but someone that you could just look up to, right? I can say Big Sean is one of my inspirations. Jay Shetty's one of my inspirations. There's Tony Robbins. There's so many other people that I look for inspiration and as a role model so that it can motivate me, so it can inspire me because sometimes we might not have someone that's close to us. Some of us don't have a good role model if it's mom or dad or if it's, maybe your cousins, whoever it is. Who is that person that you can look up to? And who is that person that you could potentially even have as a mentor and be a mentee? And as being a mentee, mentor someone else. It's a whole food chain almost, right? It's a whole circle of life so that you can just grow. So those are 4 prompts I want you to write down for yourself and just take your time in thinking about it. You don't have to get it done in one day. You don't have to have them answered. There's no right or wrong answer, but at least it gives you an outlet to start thinking about something that will benefit you so that you can just keep growing as an individual. So I want to, go with taking that step up because when we think about the intentions, we don't know about, taking action on them. And that's always the hard part, right? So it's kind of a little bit what I've been saying though. It's all of mindset, right? It's not your first step. It's that next step up, right? Because it takes so long for us to try to find out where we're going in life and what we want to do in life, right? I just feel like more than recently, this is what I want to do, right? It's all about mental health, psychology, right? Before I was doing building construction and didn't realize that what I'm doing right now is actually my purpose, right? Mental health and trying to let people know the importance of communication, personal development, building relationships, right? Because that's how we feel whole inside. The people that we're with when we're growing. But if we're all at the top, if we're alone at the top, it's like it's not fulfilling. And I don't know if I'll butcher it, but there's a quote that says that if you want to be successful fast, then go alone. But if you want to be successful bigger, or you want to, no, I got you. If you want to be successful fast, you go alone. If you want to go and be successful far, then you do it together with people, right? I might have butchered it, but you get the idea. You get it. So having that kind of mindset and telling yourself, oh, I got nothing to lose, or telling yourself, oh, why not, right? Because when you go in with nothing and you leave with nothing, then you lost nothing, right? But if you go in with nothing and then you leave with something, then that's a win. So when you have that kind of mindset where, like, I got nothing to lose, let me just go and do it, then it's almost like nothing can hold you back. And quite frankly, you will be the only person that will hold you back. And mind you, I've held myself back plenty of times. And there's moments in time where I still hold myself back a little bit, but I have to tell myself, you know what, why not? Or good or bad, who knows, right? We think about not messing up all the time, but sometimes something that bad happened or something that rejected you can be the no now for a bigger yes later. So don't get discouraged just because something didn't work out the way that you want it, because someone told you no, because eventually all those rejections, all those no's is gonna lead you in the right direction. And mind you, I always say this all the time, but rejection is protection, or rejection is redirection, right? However you wanna say it, whatever makes sense to you, you just need to make sure that you just go and do it. And that's as simple as it sounds, but you got to just keep talking to yourself and having that kind of mindset so that you can feel good about what you're doing and influence yourself. And if it's that role model, then that role model can definitely get you there, right? I had Big Sean motivate me in many ways through his music. And as he says, when they tell me no, I'm going to say yes. So I just want to end it with also letting you know that you have to give yourself patience with all this, right? When you are prepping the intention, when you're making the intention, and then you're making that step up, not that first step, that step up, you gotta give yourself patience with it all. Because a lot of times when we're setting goals, we're setting intentions, we want it to come so fast, but if it comes fast, or if we can't enjoy the moment, then are we really gonna enjoy the outcome? Right? It's almost like seasoning your chicken. We know we season the chicken and let it marinate, it tastes better. So why not let your success of seeds plant in the soil and let it marinate with the water that you pour and that you give them? Let it marinate and let it grow slowly so you can see it grow. And knowing that success is gonna taste a lot better when you let it marinate, when you be patient. Patient is not learning to wait. Patience is also learning how to slow down. So I hope you guys got something from this episode. 2025 is tomorrow. And oh my God, I am so grateful in many ways. Everybody that has been on the journey, everybody that has appreciated me, love me, accept me, respect me. Those are the people that I want to be in rooms with so that we could keep on growing, bringing people together. And as I always say, the word together, if you slow it down, it says to get there. So we're going to get there together. And 2025 is going to be a big one because greatness comes from small beginnings. And man, we just getting started. So take a moment of silence, appreciate, dedicate, put a smile on your face, and know that everything that is meant for you is on its way. All you gotta do is trust, believe, and everything will happen in its way, in ways that you can ever imagine. You just gotta believe, you gotta have faith. So until next time, you guys be easy. Peace.